everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today, Dan, a discussion about polygamy.
Yeah.
There was that incident down in Mexico that happened about, a week, 2 weeks ago?
Week and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Some folks lost their lives.
Yeah, the Mormon fundamentalists living in one of the Mormon colonies,
Yeah.
they call them, down in Mexico, and a bunch of them were killed. But anyway, it's brought up some very interesting issues, and we're going to be talking about those later on in the show. In the
Yes,
second half.
indeed. But before we do that, I would like to talk about something. You and I have talked on this show sometimes, for no apparent reason, about oral hygiene.
It has come up.
About brushing one's teeth.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, the people at Quip heard us.
Seriously.
Because we now have a new sponsor.
Hashtags I've been using.
Yes, exactly. You've been brushing your teeth with hashtags, and frankly, it's not the right way to do it.
Well, let me tell you. I've been a little obsessed about my teeth lately.
Yeah. That can happen. No, I'm not judging.
I have been brushing twice a day.
Well, there you go. That's madness. No, let me tell you something. Here's what you got to do.
Okay.
You got to take care of your mouth. You got to brush twice a day.
Yes.
They say for 2 minutes. Now, how do you count out the 2 minutes? How do you know?
Yeah.
Quip. That's how. Here's the thing.
Okay.
It's got a built-in timer and 30-second pulses to the basic. So you just pick a quadrant.
Yeah.
You do that quadrant. It's electric, so it just sort of all you got to do is just sort of move it around, and it does all the work.
Yeah, and you can figure it out. You can do upper left as a quadrant.
Yeah.
Or top front.
Yeah, exactly. And then top
quadrant.
back.
Yeah.
You do it your way. Switch it up. You know what?
I will say this.
You have to.
You do have to pick one and stick with it.
No, you don't.
Because halfway through you'll be like, which quadrant have I done so far?
Where was I? Yeah, it's probably true. If you want it to stay, if you want it to be mindless, you gotta get a rhythm going. But it makes it so easy. So Quip does all of the work for you. They've got a floss dispenser that comes with pre-marked floss to help you use exactly the right amount.
Okay.
They deliver a fresh brush head, floss, and toothpaste refills straight to your door every 3 months. Free shipping.
Nice.
You can't go wrong with this.
Nice.
It just makes everything easy. And then you don't have to think about anything. You just do it and you're done. And listen, we are not going to leave you out in the cold, kids. If you go to getquip.com/thank, that's the first word in our title. Thank God I'm Atheist /thank. You'll thank us later when you get your Quip. So Quip. So basically, that's you'll get your first refill free. So your first refill free at quip.com/thank, spelled out GETQUIP.com/thank.
Right.
Quip. It's the Good Habits Company.
Awesome. Well,
that's their tagline.
That's a good habit.
Yeah.
No, let me tell you, brushing your teeth is a good habit.
And flossing. They're making it all easy, kids.
Yeah.
And it's super. Yeah. It's transportable. You can take it anywhere. It's super easy. So it's an attractive little thing too.
You get to pick your color too.
Yeah, it's great.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into the thing. Let's do our show.
Dan.
What?
Where am I going to start? Do you want to be outraged first?
Oh, I love a good outrage.
Okay, cool. BYU-Idaho.
Oh,
up in Rexburg, Idaho.
Yeah.
Formerly known as Rick's College.
Sure. I remember when it was Rick's.
Yeah. Also, okay. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all my ideas about this place because this should say enough to anyone. College students are a lot of schools require college their students to carry some kind of insurance.
Right.
Health insurance.
Sure.
Right. And a lot of schools have some plan, like a school plan that they're able to get on
Sure. That's relatively inexpensive.
Or you can, if you show that you're on like maybe your parents' plan or just your own other plan,
sure,
you can opt out of the school's insurance.
Right.
Right. And up until just recently, BYU-Idaho allowed for Medicaid to be one of the plans that exempted their students from taking their insurance.
Makes sense.
That is no longer the case. They no longer accept Medicaid as an acceptable alternative to the student health plan.
And why is that?
They will not say. They flat out will not say. The BYU-Idaho spokespeople are just mum.
That's amazing
on this topic. Now, here's some things to really think about, because maybe a lot of people don't really know what Medicaid is. It may surprise people outside of this country to know that we do provide some government health care.
Right.
This is specifically for people who live either below or some percentage of the poverty line.
Right.
Right. Including up to some states allow people who are like 140% of the poverty line to qualify for Medicaid.
Oh, interesting.
And a lot of this was you've heard, of course, about Medicaid expansion,
right,
which was a part of Obamacare,
right.
Anyway, so the student population in Rexburg is obviously quite large, and that actually pushes up the poverty rate. It's about 41.6% of the population of Rexburg.
Because students don't have no money.
Exactly, right? And the median household income is just over $26,000 in Rexburg. So a lot of people there could qualify for Medicaid, and were doing so because it was the most affordable healthcare option available to them. And Medicaid, it's health insurance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just some, bare bones thing.
No.
It's not like
coverage.
It's not the most glorious, luxurious,
robust
maybe level of coverage, but you're covered.
Yeah.
Right. And that's all any university should care about. Well, anyway, some students were saying on social media that when they contacted the Student Health Center at BYU-Idaho about the change, staff said that the decision was made not by them, not in Rexburg, but by the Church Board of Education in Salt Lake City, that they were not to accept Medicaid anymore. Because that's for poor people, and it's for people who aren't relying on...
And fuck poor people. We're not going to educate you.
There's...
This sounds like a pilot program that they're foisting on... that Salt Lake is foisting on their shitty university.
They have checked in with BYU in Provo, also, of course, owned by the church. And they are being very clear that Medicaid... They also say Medicare will continue to meet the healthcare coverage requirements.
Oh my God!
In Provo, but
this is crazy.
It's absolute insanity. It's like when you actually think it through, it's so outrageous.
It's the dumbest thing.
Yeah. They are specifically shitting on a certain segment of their student population. And why should their students not, let's face it, students are poor.
Yeah.
Unless you have rich parents, you're poor in college.
Right. If your parents aren't helping out, then you're scraping by.
Yeah.
So let them
qualify for these government programs. Right. Guaranteed.
It's just these conservatives who think that being poor is a character flaw.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what that is. Well, since you decided I'm calling an audible. I'm switching out one of my stories that I told you I was going to do.
Oh.
We sort of cryptically tell each other what our stories are going to be without actually giving away what they are.
Well, yeah, and that's really just so that we don't double up our stories.
Yeah, exactly.
But also so that I have notes.
So that it's easier.
When I do the show notes.
Right,
I don't have to like pay too close of attention.
But you said BYU, and I'm going to do a BYU story.
Oh, okay.
Your former alma mater.
Which one are you dropping?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm not going to. Okay, go.
The BYU posted they were looking for a new geology professor. But here's the thing about geology, or about BYU. The students at BYU are obliged to sign the
honor code.
An honor code. Honor code. Well, so are the professors.
Yeah, that's true.
And part of that is that part of the honor code says that they will not have sex outside of a heterosexual marriage.
Of course it does. Yeah.
So this listing. Here's the thing.
God.
It was a job. What you can do if you are a university is post these jobs at the places like the American Geophysical Union or the Geological Society of America.
Oh boy.
And then because that's where geologists will look to get a job.
Yeah.
Well, they dropped the listing. Both of those organizations that I just said, because they have their own non-discrimination policies, and they won't list a job opening
someplace that violates those standards.
That isn't okay with gay people.
Wow.
So there you go.
Good on them.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it how. I love it when BYU gets it.
Yeah.
No, like I actually had one of my Italian professors
at BYU,
who was not LDS, and she'd been recruited because she could teach at a level at BYU. I mean, she went there because she was like, I can teach undergrads at a level that I can't anywhere else.
Oh, right. because you got a bunch of return missionaries, who are fluent. At least conversationally.
Yeah, I mean, you walk into her classes, I mean, it's like some of the first Italian classes I took, right?
Right.
And there's not a lick of English spoken day one.
Right.
And we're reading Italian literature.
Sure.
Right. And she loved that. She thought it was amazing. Anyway. But I remember we were always just like, I mean, come on, like, she must drink coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
She must,
Was she from Italy?
No, but she spoke Italian like a native. She was unreal. She was unreal.
That's cool.
Yeah. But anyway,
there you go.
BYU.
So BYU, I want more of that to happen. I think that's going to be the trend too coming up. I think that it's going to be much more about like groups like that will stop posting things for schools that are bitchy about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
stop being dicks, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will have the effect of further alienating those places.
And also don't study science at a religious college. Just don't do it.
Here's the
Even
deal.
though BYU is like the least of the problematic colleges for that.
They are.
Still, fucking don't study science at a college that also makes you read bullshit like the Bible and the Book of Mormon. That's just nonsense.
I would say something like geology.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine
at BYU.
Engineering, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But still don't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
I mean, just don't go to those colleges.
Why? That is
our listeners. Our listeners are not
you?
in any danger of going to any of those colleges.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'd like to give you some advice, everyone, if you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
There is a very, very happy man in Kentucky.
Oh, I like happy men. Probably not going to like this one though.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, good.
A federal court is allowing a Kentucky man to personalize his license plate with the phrase, "I'm God."
Oh my God!
The state denied it.
They weren't going to let him have "I'm God."
He's been fighting for 3 years, Dan, to get this vanity plate that says, "I'm God."
Oh my God! It's probably a bad idea to have that in Kentucky. He's probably going to get his car keyed.
Yeah, he's obviously. Well, I guess maybe not obviously. He could just be a narcissist,
right?
But he is a self-identified atheist.
Oh, okay.
And he, let's see, the denial, obviously violated anti-discrimination guidelines. The state has allowed similar plates like "Try God."
Oh, right. Burf.
And also "No God."
Oh, okay.
Which, okay, I'm cool with that. Again, why you would do that in Kentucky, I'm not sure.
No, good on him. Go get yourself some.
Anyway, the ACLU and the Freedom from Religion Foundation helped him out.
Yeah.
And the U.S. District Court, or a U.S. District Court in Frankfurt, a judge there ruled that vanity plates are private speech protected by the First Amendment. And so the state had violated his rights, denying him a plate. I think it's very interesting that they're saying that it's protected speech.
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Yeah, but I mean, a line must be drawn. So it's interesting now. They got to draw the line apparently within. The good thing to them is they only have to issue that plate once. Nobody else gets that one, so.
You could do "I am God."
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That would work.
That's right. Someone in Kentucky do that now. Steal his thunder and piss them off. It'll be great. I love it. All right.
You could do "godless."
Yeah.
You could do "God-free." You could do
God.
"God sucks."
God.
I wonder if you could say "God
sucks."
sucks.
S-U-X.
Yeah.
We'll try it out, everybody. Let us know how it goes. I'm going to take us just north of the border of Kentucky.
Okay.
To Ohio.
Ohio.
Where the Ohio House has passed a law called the Student Religious Liberties Act.
Oh, that's not going to be good.
It's never going to be good. If you hear the phrase religious liberties, it's never about actually protecting.
Something to do with oppression.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the
Religious Oppression Act.
In this case, it's actually not about oppression.
Oh,
it is about privilege. And that's one of the good things.
Okay.
Apparently, if this passes the Ohio Senate, this law will make it illegal to give a kid a failing grade on a test if they get the science answers wrong for religion reasons.
No.
Yep, absolutely. What they're trying to do is protect all those poor dumb Christian kids who have been to the Ark encounter one too many times.
Yeah. Mama said Earth is only 6,000 years old.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Here's where geology gets in the way of religion.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay,
there's the problem. So yeah, like if, say, a biology teacher very correctly talks about evolution, but the preacher says that ain't true, well, then the kid can just make their argument and say whatever bullshit they've been taught,
and Eve.
And then the teacher has to give them credit.
So, but that's an interesting thing because, so you're not allowed to. You have to grade their work, right?
Do you anymore?
I don't know.
Do you? Apparently not. I mean, maybe the kid still has to sit through the lectures. So far, they may get rid of that too.
Yeah,
Anyway, this hasn't passed.
It's quite bizarre.
The whole General Assembly. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I assume that this is just for a couple different science classes. That this isn't like my preacher said that 2 + 2 = 5. Like, is it a complete undermining 100% of education?
My understanding of it, and I haven't read the bill entirely, but it's basically students can't be penalized if their work is, and I'll just read the language that I'm seeing here, if the work is scientifically wrong, as long as the reasoning is because of their religious belief.
All right, well, cool. Then, okay. So it's mostly about science.
Yeah.
It's once again just about, okay.
But only because religion doesn't tend to like bump up against gym or like bump up against English. But it could.
It could.
And in the future, those kids are safe. God bless them. They're saving the kids.
Well, that's great. I'm happy for these Christian kids.
Yes, indeed.
They just get to be more and more
dumber and dumber. Have fun at college. You are not going to like what happens.
Well, they'll go to Bible college anyway.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
all right, Dan.
What?
You are familiar, I know you are, with something called Project Blitz.
Yes.
Right?
It's basically where Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn teach people how to sew dresses.
Oh, is that what it is?
That may be a different project.
I think
Project Blitz is the conservative Christian attempt to take over this country and
the whole idea was to bombard state legislatures with radical religious laws, sort of pre-written.
Right.
This is about religion classes in the schools. This is about In God We Trust, placards in the schools.
Right.
Specifically, those two come to mind immediately. Well, according to the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the Project Blitz is ditching the name.
Well,
which is interesting.
Yeah.
And they sort of put forward their theory. I have my own. They're rebranding themselves as, quote, Freedom for All.
Oh.
That's their new little name.
Yeah, cute.
This sort of came out of, I guess the group officially formed just in 2016.
Yeah. It's new. But they've been effective.
The Freedom from Religion Foundation has, of course, been fighting them. They opposed 12 Bible class bills that were pushed by Project Blitz in various states.
Right.
9 of those ended up failing. But even in the 3 states where they passed,
right.
The Freedom from Religion Foundation was they sent a letter out to every essentially school district in those states and sort of explained what the problems were with this law,
right?
And what would happen, of course, if they crossed the constitutional lines,
right?
And apparently, according to the FFRF, no Bible classes have been actually instituted in those states
yet.
But they're working on it. They're working hard. They're making it sound scary, even though it is law,
right,
that allows it in those places.
Because part of the whole goal of Project Blitz now, what is it called now?
Now it's called Freedom for All. So remember that, everybody. Like,
look out for those guys.
They're sort of saying that they're rebranding because the Freedom from Religion Foundation has been so successful at blocking a lot of these laws from passing. I think they're rebranding to be slippery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because they don't want to be watched. They don't want to be seen. They don't want people to immediately have their hackles up. This is a slimy organization.
Well, and also Project Blitz sounds aggressive. Freedom for All sounds so, it's a big love. It's a big hug.
Well, I don't think when they called it Project Blitz that anybody actually thought that it would get much attention.
Right.
That they would be immediately spotted and called out for what they're doing by the left, and then tracked by organizations like the Freedom from Religion Foundation. So I think their rebranding is definitely it demonstrates a success on the part of the Freedom from Religion Foundation for having done so much work, that they're wanting to like slip and slither, away, but while continuing their work.
Yeah, it's
But that's what's up. I felt like I normally don't use press releases from organizations for the show.
Sure.
I like to get it from our stories from news sources.
Right.
That's kind of what we're doing right here. But I felt like this was just so important, so that people out there can hear it. And pay attention to it. We're about to go into a time of year where a lot of legislatures are convening.
Right.
In the January, February, sort of March time period seems to be when a lot of the part-time legislatures actually have their session.
Right.
And so we're going to be seeing a lot more crap coming forward, and people need to know that
the freedom for all
means
privilege for us and no freedom for you.
Exactly.
That's what that means.
And know the source of it as well.
All right. Well, I'm gonna close on some interesting news. Some news that surprised me, actually. It's demography. We're gonna get into a little demography.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Specifically, U.S. Hispanics.
Oh.
Who, when looked at, have actually changed their stripes a little bit. According to the Pew Research Center, back in 2009, now Hispanics traditionally are wildly Catholic. In almost every Latin American and South American country, you get just a huge percentage of Catholicism.
Yeah.
In the United States in 2009, it was 57% of U.S. Hispanics were Catholic.
Okay.
And now it is below 50.
Wow.
It is now 47%.
12-point drop.
A 12-point drop.
No way.
In Catholicism among U.S. Hispanics. Interestingly, the number of Hispanic Protestants has barely budged. It was 23%. It's gone to 24%. So where are they going? Unaffiliated. Just like the rest of the country. Oh,
my God.
That has jumped from 15 to 23%.
What?
Yep. With a 3% or with a 2% bump in non-Christian faiths. I think that's really interesting.
How much of a bump?
So non-Christian faiths, they were at 1%. Now they're at 3%, which is surprising.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard of a phenomenon of conversions in the Hispanic community, Latino community, to Islam.
Yeah, that may be one of the
kind
things.
of a thing. So I wonder if some of that isn't.
Well, if you're going to be treated the same as the Arabs who are trying to come into this country, you know what I mean? Like it feels like, especially the Trump administration is giving them common cause. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah,
it makes one wonder. Anyway, I think that is a really interesting thing because demographically, we think of Hispanics as being sort of very Christian. They're like, when you look at the sort of the political breakdown, they often vote Democrat. But if you ask them about things like abortion, if you ask them about things like, any of these sort of hot button topics for Catholics, they struggle. They don't want to vote for Democrats because of that.
Right.
So it's never something it's not a reliable democratic sort of stronghold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That may be changing. I don't know. That's really interesting.
Who knows? That is very interesting and welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We embrace you.
We
want anyone who doubts.
Yeah, come
to join us.
Dine at our table.
Yeah.
If you, dear listener, would like to share some fun facts or thoughts or dine at our table with us, you can write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah. Hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge. Request to join. We'll let you in.
Yeah. Hey, the show's not over. Let's do some more show.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, yeah.
Dave Dobenmeyer.
Coach Dave!
Oh, he's such a peach.
Oh, let me tell you something. What's nice is how down to earth he is. He likes to keep things, you know what? He likes facts, and he likes to verify.
Oh, yeah.
And he has dug up the straight dirt, y'all.
Yeah, when you hear it from his lips, there is no reason to fact check.
No.
You know it's
reliable.
It's truth.
Yeah. He's not one of these wishy-washy Dan Rather types. None of this
fact checking.
None of this.
Doesn't need to fact check. Dan. All right.
Listen, he knows in his heart, and that's good enough for me. So let's learn what he knows in his heart this week.
It's so good.
I don't know if you guys know this or not. Many of the people who go into Planned Parenthoods to have their babies killed are what they call breeders. Breeders. They do it over and over and over. They're paid to get pregnant, to abort the baby for satanic rituals. Did you guys have any idea of that? Did you know that? Did you understand that some of those women walking in there aren't just troubled women, aren't just caught themselves in a bad situation? They're breeders. They do it over and over and over. We don't believe that, do we? No, Coach. No, you've got it wrong. Do I really?
Do I really?
Yes, you do.
Yes, Coach. In point of
you
fact,
were wrong.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my
Breeders.
God. Because here's the thing.
First of all,
there's so many things wrong with this. just even from his perspective, even if I were on his side, I'd be like, yeah, but then they go to a clinic? Wouldn't they want to like give birth to the baby and then sacrifice the baby to Satan?
It seems like a much better satanic ritual.
Yeah.
Right. Woman in labor, baby falls out.
And then you put it on a table with candles and a pentagram and you big knife or something.
Dan. Sounds like you've been to one of these before.
I mean, I've dabbled.
So abort, and then the abortion clinic, they know what to do with it, don't worry.
Yeah.
Right. Like they already have.
Then you go around back to pick up the aborted fetus so that you can. It's such a
breeder.
Oh my God, it's so stupid.
First of all,
he's trying to reignite the satanic panic.
Oh, they would love to.
They would love to reignite
really,
that.
really love to.
Can we just be clear about something? There was never a Satanist problem in the United States. There were never people doing satanic rituals. That was always bullshit. Can we just get that out of the way?
Dan, I feel like
actually there are people who do satanic rituals. It's just they're silly. It's just maybe they have a little sex or whatever, but they don't ever like sacrifice people or. Do you know where all that came from?
Chickens. Do they sacrifice chickens?
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on.
They eat chicken.
They have a nice little chicken dinner.
Sure. Absolutely.
Then have some silly satanic sex.
Yeah, then somebody gets naked and they do a thing and they say
dance around
something in Latin. It's cute. The Odo Temple Orientis or whatever it is.
What is that?
Is this a satanic group?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought okay.
Anyway, yeah.
How do you know that, Dan?
Oh, I know a lot of things, Frank, about Satanists.
Dan, you're scaring me.
Yeah. You should be scared.
Damn.
I feel like that's 90% of why anyone joins a satanic cult. It's just like scary. It's just so that like people are afraid of them. I'm a member of the of the Satanists of whatever.
Right.
It's something they can say to old people.
Scandalize people.
To scandalize them.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay, boomer. I'm a Satanist. Ha! Anyway, some folks wrote into us. Hi, Frank and Dan. This is from Mallory. Hi, Frank and Dan. Love you guys. I've listened to every episode at least twice because you guys are great. That's
Mallory.
unhealthy. That is unhealthy.
It's not recommended.
Don't do that.
But thank you.
We love you. Anyway, I wanted to ask your opinion about removing myself from the official LDS records. A quick background. I was born and raised in the church. My mother, this is the Mormons, by the way, kids. My mother's side goes all the way back to the beginning. So the pressure of the Mormon religion was strict and expected. I started questioning things as long as I could remember. As I grew, I began stepping away from the church as much as possible. When I turned 18, I left the church, much to the shock of my family. I tried other religions in my journey to atheism. Why? Where I am now. There isn't any contact between my family and myself. Oh, that's sad. Or not. Actually, it's fine. I still get the occasional home teachers and visiting teachers and missionaries that knock on my door. I would like to have my name completely withdrawn from their records, but I'm worried that there are consequences. What was your experience? And were there any bumps in the road during the process? Are you okay with your decision? I want them to leave me alone, even though I have no contact with that side of my family. I'm concerned if they no longer see my name on the records, that may start more problems.
Well, I don't know what those problems might be.
Yeah,
for you specifically.
Yeah, we don't know your situation.
But I will say this. It was a great day in my life. When I got that letter confirming that I was out of the church, I almost bought a frame for it. But yeah, I think it's something, I mean, only you can, like, it sounds like you want to. Yeah. So I say just go for it. Right? Like the consequences, again, outside of immediate consequences with your family, I don't know what consequences there could be. Yeah. Aside from knowing that you're no longer on their rolls, they're no longer tracking you. The home teachers and the missionaries aren't going to be coming around. It just sounds like a win-win-win to me. Yeah. Except for how some estranged family members might feel about it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're not even on their radar anyway,
yeah,
I mean
and staying on isn't gonna help anything.
No, it's not.
If they're already not cool with you,
and listen, I put it off for a long time because my feeling was I didn't care. If they think I'm part of their stupid club, but I know I'm not, then I don't really care. But then I realized that my name was being attached to a bunch of shit that this church was doing.
Yeah.
They could count me as I was a member, at least in their eyes, of an organization that, is anti-gay and trans and all of these other things and patriarchal in a way that I was wildly uncomfortable with. So I just didn't want my name being associated with it.
Right.
So, and that's pretty easy for me to explain to people. Right. I've had no problem explaining that. So I think it was great. You can go to quitmormon.com if you want to.
Yeah.
And they can help you get your name off. It's pretty easy to resign.
It is easy. The church has tried to put up some roadblocks. Like they are now requiring your letter to be notarized. Did you know that?
But I don't think legally they can require that.
It's something that they are currently requiring.
Right.
Nobody's actually challenged it in any way.
Right.
But it's something that they are requiring.
But Quit Mormon is a lawyer.
He's a lawyer and he is complying with that request of theirs. And so, I saw somebody on the Salt Lake City subreddit not too long ago offering their services as a notary public. To anyone who wanted their letter.
Love it.
Notarized. Free of charge.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
So
I will say this. Mormonism is not the only organization from which you should resign. Those of you who grew up in other religious organizations should probably also resign from your old church.
You just may not feel it the same way Mormons do.
It's
the ex-Mormons do.
It's very special.
Right.
I'll bet the J-Dubs feel it the same with that.
They probably have some similar something or other.
Yeah.
But the J-Dubs seem more than willing to just excommunicate you for crap.
Oh, they'll shun you.
You shun.
And they'll kick you right the fuck out if you're not. So, and to me, it might be more satisfying to get kicked out rather than to.
I know. I always thought, like, wouldn't that? I think now, if I like where I'm at in my life now,
yeah,
I would make them excommunicate me.
Yeah,
that would be more fun.
Yeah, exactly. But I just don't. I didn't have anything for them to excommunicate me over.
Yeah,
I was living with my girlfriend, but they don't.
They wouldn't.
They don't care that much.
But you could have you could have convinced them.
Maybe
you could have done some public apostasy crap.
Sure.
I don't know how. You could have figured it out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
just write them a little note. Every day I'm going to moon the temple until you excommunicate me. Just gonna watch for me at noon. You just gonna moon the anyway. Here's another. This is from Taylor. Hello, dear podcasters. I wanted to share a recent interaction I had with a friend of mine after listening to your Crusade for Christmas Coercion chat. This was when we were talking about the fake war on Christmas.
Right.
I need to preface this by saying that Christmas is my number one favorite holiday.
Same here.
I love snow. I love the old Louis Armstrong Christmas album. And somehow I totally bought what the Christmas specials on TV said, that the true meaning of Christmas is all about thinking of others, spreading peace and love, and eating lots of delicious food. I never really paid attention to the Jesus shit, and I hate nativity scenes. So, life has been a little shit lately. To combat the shit, I've been spending time in home decor shops surrounded by Christmas stuff, pretending I can afford to decorate. I sent my friend a Snapchat saying, it's an okay time for life to shit on me because I can retreat into the holiday spirit and feel better. She and I met in college in good old Salt Lake City, but she's originally from Bountiful. That's a very Mormon town.
Yes,
in Salt Lake. Or in Utah, north of Salt Lake. And I'm pretty sure I'm her first ex-Mormon friend. Aww. She's been trying to bring me into the singles ward for years. With some Mormon deep cuts today, boy. Anyway, this time, however, she just shot back a snide comment about Christmas in September, and when I joked back that it was mid-November, all she said was, quote, I have a particular view of how the holidays should be celebrated, and I'm working on not pushing my views onto other people. To this day, I cannot figure out what the fuck brought that about, but it feels like war on Christmas shit to me. Tell me what you guys think. Here's what it feels like to me. She has annoyed so many people with some crazy view that she has on how you're supposed to celebrate Christmas, and they've yelled at her enough that she is too gun shy to even talk about Christmas to people. She has this some crazy thing about Christmas should only be celebrated between this day and that day, and it should always be about Jesus, and Santa should be blah blah blah. And she has brought this out at parties so much that like she has ruined entire like parties for people, and they've
those are fun parties.
They've stopped inviting her to things about it,
right?
And she feels like she should be allowed to tell everybody her views on it, but she knows that she can't because they hate her for it.
So you've painted quite the picture here, Dan.
Yeah, there you go.
You know exactly who this woman is.
I have no idea. That's just my fun guess.
All right.
But who knows? At least look, Taylor, count your blessings. Yes, she didn't communicate well with you in that moment. She couldn't commune with you in your joy of Christmas. But also, she didn't tell you her bullshit. She didn't spew any of her bullshit at you.
Yeah.
Which she wanted to. Whatever it was. She wanted to.
That's funny.
So I say you're in great shape. Just let it go. Just let go and let God.
That's funny.
Hey, do we have some folks to thank?
We do have people to thank, Dan. We have 2 new patrons on Patreon.
Okay.
We have Sam,
wonderful,
who's coming in at the faithful level.
Thank you, Sam.
And we have a new pope. Oh, the popes just keep on coming.
And the popes just keep on coming.
Crystal.
Oh, Crystal.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And we're still just the tiniest bit away from reaching our next level goal.
We are. We're just inching closer and closer. It's going to be a glorious day when it finally happens.
Yes.
We do have someone to thank.
Okay.
Our Lord and Savior, our top donor, Dan.
Yes.
Davis!
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 Woo!
Whee!
Oh, way to be the Lord and Savior, Davis. Way to be. We appreciate you. And we appreciate all of you. And more to come.
Dan!
There's an invasion happening, Frank.
An invasion?
There was an invasion.
What is it?
We invaded Mexico.
Who did?
And by we, I mean the Mormons.
Mormon polygamists?
Yeah.
That's we? That was never we.
No.
That was never me.
No.
I can tell you that.
The first Mormon invasion of Mexico happened in 1847 when they came here.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah.
Because this
was Mexico back then.
Yeah, Utah, Salt Lake City was part of Mexico at that moment.
Yeah.
And they were literally trying to get to a different country when the Mormon pioneers came here.
They were done with the United States.
And then the US gobbled them right back up again.
Oh, they were so miffed.
And then there's mega tension between Utahns, between the Mormons and the US federal government over polygamy.
Yeah,
that was the big sticking point.
There's like an old base, an old fort.
Yeah.
Up on the hill.
There was a polygamy fort?
No, that was the U.S. having sent out the troops fort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a long history. Well, part of that history is that even after the Mormons the sort of the Brighamites, the followers of Brigham Young decided that they were going to give up the practice of polygamy after Brigham died.
Yeah. Well after.
Some of them
turned over in his grave.
A whole bunch of them didn't think that was right. A whole bunch of Mormons thought that was incorrect and inconceivable.
Yeah.
But it was very much against the law here in these United States, and so they fled. And they fled to both Mexico and Canada.
Yeah, and this time it stayed Mexico.
Yeah. So, and they're still there.
They are still there.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney's dad was born in Mexico.
That's correct, yeah.
So
in one of the colonies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And recently there was a big dust up because, as we alluded to at the top of the show, some of those people were killed.
Yeah.
Because they get into spats with the local cartels.
Yeah.
We don't know the whole story.
We don't. I didn't really follow the story too closely. I saw headlines about it.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, Dan,
is
that this has led some to call for a change in laws in this country about polygamy, so that these groups, which, by the way, a lot of members of these Mormon communities in northern Mexico are U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they would like to live in the United States, but there's sort of a don't ask, don't tell, or look the other way policy in Mexico about polygamy with these groups. And so they can sort of traditionally live in peace.
Which there kind of has been in parts of Utah too.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. But why not just come back and...
But every now and then somebody gets in trouble, and you know, it's
pretty rare, isn't it?
It's pretty rare, but I mean, Hilldale's all broke up and whatever.
They broke up Hilldale?
Kind of.
Really?
I mean, it's like it's now more non-polygamous than polygamous. They're still there.
Okay.
But like they don't own the town anymore. And
that
all this.
part of it. Yeah, no, you're right about that. Yeah, but there's something like estimates range between 30 to 60,000 polygamists in the Salt Lake Valley.
Yeah, 30 to 60,000 in the Salt Lake Valley?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yes. All of Harriman was.
Yeah.
And now it's not so much anymore. Now it's all townhomes occupied by tech workers. But yeah.
There's still plenty of it.
Yeah.
It is kind of just a don't ask, don't tell sort of scenario.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. People who don't have any skin in the game at all are still calling for the decriminalization and legalization of polygamy just in the United States.
Yeah.
Including one, there's a Salt Lake Tribune article about it, and they pointed to a tweet by one Philippa Meek, who is a doctoral researcher at the University of Exeter in Devon, England, who tweeted, "Can we please just decriminalize and legalize polygamy, like now?" And she said she hashtagged marriage equality.
Oh, interesting.
Now,
marriage equality.
Yeah, that's an interesting hashtag, especially considering who she was. This was all part of like a Twitter thread that she was doing, a series of tweets about this whole Mormonism thing in Mexico. But here's the thing. The religious version of polygamy is unequal. Mm-hmm. It is a patriarchal nonsense. It is a men can marry multiple women. Women cannot marry multiple men.
Right.
So I think marriage equality might be a bit of a misnomer. But it is an interesting question. The question of should adults, and only adults, be allowed to marry more than one person?
Well, so, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It also, like, are we talking about marriage in terms of a religious ceremony, or are we talking about it in terms of you go down to your city or county, wherever you get your marriage license, and
create a legal...
And create, there's some sort of, you pay your whatever, and get your blood test.
Do they still do blood tests?
I don't know if they do
that anymore.
Think
they still do blood tests.
But anyway, yeah, is that what we're talking about? Because like when I'm with her 100% on decriminalize.
Okay.
Like I'm just like, okay, that helps to bring it out of the shadows.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's important.
That is really important because you brought up as long as it's adults, this would help so much with the child bride situation.
Yeah.
In polygamy. If you just got it out into the light of day, where these groups were willing to be more open, and because they weren't as afraid and they weren't as isolated, these kind of activities just wouldn't be as possible as they are now.
Yeah.
To do these because they're spiritual brides, right? What do they call it?
I don't know.
I can't remember what they call it. But anyway,
call it rape.
It is definitely rape.
And
so,
child
like,
molestation.
Yeah. But nonetheless, like, so I'm absolutely, I'm right there. Decriminalize. Now, when you talk about legalize, that's when it's like, okay, well, now we're taking steps that I don't know exactly what people mean when they say that. I don't know if they mean that we're going to redefine what marriage is so that it's just, I mean, you would have to, in sort of our, legal definition of marriage these days, have it be any combination of people.
Yeah.
Right. No matter, regardless their gender.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I'm like that. Okay. So taking a gender definition out of marriage was a radical change.
Yes.
It actually ended up feeling not very radical when it finally happened.
Other than the fact that it broke society, is that what you mean? Other than the fact that everything has fallen apart?
That heterosexual marriages have been sullied and ruined and have fallen apart.
I'm going to divorce my wife just in principle. Now that gays can do it.
So, I mean, it's a different question, though, than what the gay community was asking our society to come around on. Yeah. Because they weren't saying that we need more than I mean, marriage has been understood as a two-party relationship, right? And so now it's
sometimes it depends on who you're talking about.
Well, but in our system, as of late,
sure,
recently, in the West,
okay,
right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not, but like about the whole history of marriage since the dawn of time and how it's been practiced by different groups. That's
right.
But anyway, so I don't know. That's something I am less immediately
on On board with,
but show me the terms, show me what you're talking about, and then maybe I could support something like that. But that seems,
I mean, to me, what is marriage other than just sort of a legal entanglement of people?
it is, yeah.
It is saying we take responsibility for each other.
Yeah.
We, we are going to care for each other. We are going to help each other, and probably we enjoy fucking or whatever, but not necessarily. So I don't see why that can't extend to more people.
Right. And I don't want to like complicate this issue just for the sake of complicating it, or to like, but like there's a lot that would have to be hashed out, because right now it's medical decision making for each other.
Sure.
Right. So what happens if it's a 3-party group and
they don't, the two don't agree?
Yeah. Like, is it a coin toss?
Yeah.
You know, like there would be so much.
The doctor gets to choose.
And just because there would be a lot to figure out doesn't mean that it's not something that should be done.
Sure.
Right. But there would be so much. It would, like, the radical change of taking gender out of what marriage was.
Yeah.
Ultimately was a big giant yawn. It really didn't do that much as far as like how the institution worked.
Totally.
Right. This would change how the institution functions.
Right.
And that is a much steeper hill to climb.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely more complicated.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of that complication personally. That doesn't bother me.
Me either. Believe me, I'm not going to be the one who's doing the heavy lifting on that one.
Right. Yeah. It's not the hill you want to die on.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't marriage. Frank Feldman. My thought is just
the guy who's like so dubious of the institution.
Right. The institution
in general.
The institution in general is questionable.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
So really now we're just going to, like, why do we keep expanding this thing that's just like, okay.
Well, eventually we can expand it to meaninglessness.
Hey, now that's interesting.
If you expand it all the way, then it means
basically everybody in the country is married.
We're all married to each other. and now we have to do healthcare for all.
Crazy marriage chains.
You could. My marriage is now marrying your marriage.
Right.
My coupledom is marrying their coupledom, and that could be fine. Like, I have no, like, people,
these two couples get married.
Right, exactly.
Or these two groups merge.
Yeah.
Sounds like a corporation.
It could, yeah. Well, you know what? It's not unlike it.
So, I mean, you'd have to elect some kind of board of directors.
Yes, indeed. God damn it.
You have a board. You'd have to do Robert's rules.
Oh.
You'd have to, have committees.
Sure.
You
could take a sort of parliamentary approach to it. You could have a parliament of your marriage.
You elect. You have your representative.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Vote for Susie.
She's a doozy.
So I don't know. I think it should be legal just because people can enter into whatever legal contract with each other that they want to, as long as it's not deleterious to society in some way. I don't see a problem. The main thing that I object to is that the reason that it's illegal is on some bogus moral ground.
Right. I just really truly believe that some sort of group marriage thing, that it would just ruin my marriage. Right.
You sir are not married. I'm going to point that out to you.
That somehow what those people doing over there will affect the thing that I'm doing over here.
Yeah.
I'm fairly convinced that that's true.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
No,
don't you think?
Here's what I think would happen. Here's what I definitely think would happen. They would make plural marriage legal, and then, like, Gen Z millennials would all start marrying each other just so that they could be on each other's insurance.
See, and that's the sort of thing that would have to be worked out, and that it would eventually cause to break down, I think.
Well, I support it just because the reasons against it aren't valid. The reasons against it are Bible says they ain't. What fuck? It's not even the Bible. The Bible totally condones it.
Not group marriage.
There's plenty.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is this will make people's heads explode when they realize it's not just one man and a bunch of women.
Right.
Which you could probably get some people on board with.
Right.
Right.
But as soon as a woman starts marrying a bunch of guys,
what's the point?
What is this? What's happening?
She's just going to have a bunch of different men's kids?
Ugh. That's disgusting. Oh my God. It's just, I don't know. I personally think it should be totally legal and obviously not criminal. No, but what should be criminal is the marriage of a 14-year-old, or a 16-year-old. That should be totally against the law. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, the marrying of a child, your child, to an older man without the consent of the child, without the child having any say in the matter, it is illegal. Yeah. It should be illegal, and it should be prosecuted vigorously.
And it should be easier to find.
And it's not.
And it's not right now.
So yeah, I mean, at least decriminalization and possibly legalization would bring it out in the open, and then we could sort of poke at it a little bit more and find those awful things.
The heads would explode. Your point to just sort of break marriage is appealing.
Well, there you go. Listen, I'm guessing that some of our listeners have some things to say about all of this.
And some people are fucking outraged. Because polygamy is something that we live with in the neighborhood here in Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, Costco the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Easy to spot the polygamists at Costco, right?
It depends on if they're rural or if they're...
These were rural.
Yeah,
they're super easy.
The rural polygamists are super easy to spot. They're like... They're like Mennonites or whatever. They're from
the 1800s.
They are.
At least the women are.
And their hair is so bad, and they always braided. Why always braided? Anyway, if you would like to chime in on this conversation or any conversation, please write to us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yep, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click on that like button.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in.
Yeah, hey, speaking of Facebook, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her amazing work on the Facebook page. You should go see it. And thanks to Amy and Danny for their work as the moderators of the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thank goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music and to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thank you, dear friends, for tuning in.
Bye-bye.